grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you are new to the program, give you a quick rundown of the show. I used to be everybody's favorite drinking buddy. It was one of my favorite things in the world to hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, talk shit, talk shop, and reminisce about old stories. I am sober now, but that's still one of my favorite things to do is hang out with friends and reminisce. Most weeks I will be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. I am joined by my friend, New York comedian, hilarious guy, the Fullcharge, Matt Fulchiron. Full disclosure to everybody, when we started recording, we just kind of got right into it, so I forgot to do the intro. So here's the episode.
And most things won't work.
There we go.
So you might as well try what you think will work.
But that's the other weird thing about it, too. Like, I understand, like, the traditional style doesn't always work. Like, oh, I'm going to go do open mics and hope something happens. And I get that aspect of it because you've seen that a million times where people just end up road dogging it, if not even that, like just doing local shows and have to work a day job and then they never do anything with it.
Yeah.
Or they become bookers or managers or something like that. So I guess trying to do it unconventionally can work, but at the same time, it just seems so aggressive.
Well, I think anything could work, like I was saying. You know what I mean? So we can sit here and strategize. See, I'm like, I don't know, I've been doing comedy for over 20 years. I've been doing professionally for over 15 years. And I still can't, like, figure out some roadmap.
Yeah.
You just got to put some work out there and hope
something sticks.
Someone likes it.
Yeah.
Hope it leads to something, whatever, but you got to like it you got to want to do the things that you're doing, and you got to be into the things that you're doing. So if you are really into fucking sending videos to other comics, like if you're an open micer and you're really into sending videos to, like, I don't know, D.L. Hughley or somebody that big.
Yeah. An original king
most
of comedy.
It, just like anything else, most of the time it's not going to work. And then who fucking knows? I am not encouraging anyone to do this. I don't think it's a good idea. But also, who fucking knows? Because all we've ever gotten, when we do make progress in this business, it's because, take your first club date. It was because you were doing open mics so much that you actually had 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird
and
too,
so you could be like, all right, doing open mics for 2 years isn't going to get me anywhere, but it kind of is.
And
sending tapes out for 2 years straight. Who fucking knows? Anything, as long as you do it enough. And then you also have to know when to stop.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing it too much, you need to space it out.
Yeah. Well, you hear those weird stories all the time where it's like, I was nobody or I was doing open mics for like 5 years and then I ran into somebody or someone happened to see my set and then boom, my whole life changed.
I think it's all about consistency, number one.
Yeah.
So if you're a podcaster, put out your podcast every week, every day, however you do it, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah.
And then I think the other side of it is just being there in person does so much. And that's why most of the stories are, I met so-and-so at the Improv, and he liked my comedy. Yeah. And then things went well for me after that.
Well, what is that Vince Lombardi quote? It's not like luck is actually just preparation and time or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like also just being there.
Yeah.
So luck, you get more luck when you're there. Like, so in other words, you get more luck when you played a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's how I got to meet Bill Burr.
Right.
Was just showing up to the stand all the time.
Right.
And then you and I were hanging out, and then Bill happened to be there, and I showed up after work, and the most Bill Burr thing that could ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you what he said? Where he goes,
You can tell the audience if you want.
Are you going to join our conversation, or are you just going to stand there like a fucking creep? And I was like, yes! That's the most Bill Burr thing ever.
Right. It's a nice little personalized comedy.
Yeah,
story.
right?
Yeah.
It's like my own little minute.
Your own little in-person your own little cameo.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. You know that voice, friend of the show, the concierge himself, your baby's father, Matt Fulchiron, the Fullcharge.
What's up, ex-drinking buddy world?
So Matt was kind enough to come back on the show. You kind of set yourself up for that one when we were hanging out, and you were like, yeah, man, if you ever need a guest, let me know. Right. And then literally like a day later, I was like, hey, man, remember when you said if I ever need a guest, let you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody gets one. Everybody gets a freebie. Right? This can't happen every week.
No.
So let's enjoy it.
Oh, but I really do appreciate you coming on.
But we have been podcasting offline.
Yes, we have.
Lately, we've been so in vein.
That's what it is
in
now.
theme with what we've been talking about is Brennan and I have been making ourselves get out of the apartment.
Yep.
Even if we don't have a spot, go to the stand and take it easy.
Hang out.
And just take some
be
food
there.
off their hands.
Yeah. That pizza, man.
It's unsustainable, but it is more fun than doing comedy.
Yeah. It's a lot more.
We can't work like this forever.
No, I guess eventually
we gotta
we're
have
gonna have
some
to
money
get on
coming
stage.
in
Yeah.
eventually. But in the meantime,
It's been a lot of
let's
fun.
just lay down some dollars and eat some pizza.
Yeah. You've been the last few times we've gone, almost every single time they've asked you to go up, or certain comics have asked you to go up.
Yeah.
So that's always good.
That's good. And that's what I mean. Just like reminding people you're alive.
Yeah.
It's such a good thing.
Well, it's always so cool when we walk in there because, like you said earlier, you've been doing comedy 20 years, professionally for 15. And every time we walk in there, at least 3 or 4 comics are like, Charge!
That's so nice that, like, that's what's so cool about being a comic is I can go all over the country and different places, like the San Francisco Punchline.
Yeah.
And I'll know, like, fucking 5 people there.
Yeah.
L.A., New York,
Yeah.
Miami, whatever, dude. I mean, it's like being in a
fraternity
or just some kind of group.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's cool, too, because it doesn't matter. That's the one thing I'm noticing, too. Everyone can hear Maya. She's a big stay on the show now. That's one thing
definitely a star.
I've noticed, too, is that, like, just introducing myself, or when you introduce me to people as, like, oh, this is Brennan, he's a comic from Florida, it's immediate, like, oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was there one time by myself, just hanging out at the bar, because I won't sit with the comics I don't know. Even the comics I know, I won't sit with.
Yeah.
It's like a weird, like, I'm not past here. This isn't my... Like, if they come sit with us, that's one thing.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, it's like a respect thing. It's like, that's your table. Like, I'm going to leave it alone. So I was sitting at the bar, and one of the comics came up that I know kind of well, and we were talking. And then next thing you know, there was like 2 or 3 other... and we're all, like, just hanging out. And I was like, oh... I immediately texted Savannah and was like, I think this is working.
Yeah. And that's another thing is like that I would tell, I think we're talking to people who are just starting out.
Yeah.
Kind of, is you don't have to try too hard. You can, passive aggressive has kind of a, that's not the right terminology.
Yeah.
It's like my version of passive aggressive where like you just show up, feel it out, see what works out. I remember I was just doing open mics in LA in like the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to the Comedy Store to check it out, which I didn't do that much. I stayed out of the clubs for years.
Okay.
I just did open mics. I didn't really have, like, it was so much harder to have a game plan back then.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think if I showed up to a club, I would just go on, which I didn't. But I remember showing up, and Jason Galern, I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he's a comic in L.A., and he recognized me from the open mics.
Okay.
And he was just like, hey, you ever been here before? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, cool, let me show you around.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I just remember not expecting that or that from him.
Yeah.
Because he was more established than me. But like I didn't realize I was already starting to become part of it.
Yeah.
Part of the group.
The scene, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't think I was really like certified yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? This is cool. You know?
Well, that's exactly what's happened with you and I, because like you had done the podcast before, we did it via Zoom, and you've always been incredibly nice to me, which, you know, you don't see all the time, especially in this. And I am responsible for doing that to other people. Like in Jacksonville, as an established comic, I'd have new people come up and like want to talk to me, and I'm just kind of like we have to see you out here a lot more before we start like kicking it. But you were always incredibly polite to me and super nice. And it was interesting because when I got up here and you and I hung out, because I had seen you go up at the stand a couple times before you and I had like really even talked, like since you got here.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, yeah, man, we should totally hang out. And
Right.
that same exact thing as I was just like, yeah, but like, you're the Fullcharge. Like, I'm not, like, who am I?
Right.
And then we just started hanging out and it we've become friends. And it's like, oh, that's, like, and never in a million years in my head did I think,
you might think I'm the Fullcharge, but I'm really just Matt Fulchiron.
You don't say.
Matthew Fulchiron when I go to the doctor's office, you
Yeah,
know?
right?
And nothing,
See, in my head, it's the, the Fullcharge.
No, this business is incredibly, it can make you feel really good about yourself, but it can also humble you to the point where you know that you're just a regular person.
Yeah.
And you're not, and like you get a lot of credit for just showing up.
That's
Like
true,
I
too.
wouldn't seek you out in Florida,
Yeah.
but since I'm running into you here,
Well, and that's the
and
other
no
thing, too.
offense
Is
you being in Florida.
no, but.
And if you do go back to Florida, I will hang out with you. I'm just saying, based on our previous relationship.
But it makes so much sense because I was talking to Savannah about this the other day, and this is something that I know you can 100% relate to because I've, followed you for a long time, and we were having a conversation just about doing comedy and being in New York, and a lot of people talk about it. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's what I got. And it's so weird to think about. Like, I've been talking about moving to New York with Savannah for years. Like, oh, and then everything's going to change. And now we're here. And I came to this I was like, oh, I'm trying to do one of the hardest things in the world.
Just moving alone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we literally left our entire lives behind.
Yeah.
We both grew up in Florida.
And it's more than just leaving things behind. It's figuring out how to do normal things in a strange environment.
Yeah.
Whether it's just mailing a letter or like figuring out
I don't know how to turn the heat on.
where to, anything, you name it. I can help you with that.
Thank you. I literally texted her like, I'm going to have to ask Matt how to do this. I have no idea.
I'll be like, what's your landlord's phone number? That's
Oh,
how
they're
I'll
gonna
figure it out. No, I'll figure it out, I think. my fiance can definitely figure it out.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
badass. She shames me. Not like I shame myself
Yeah.
when she does my
She's like,
jobs.
move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
I just like, I don't even bring it up. I just, because
All right,
I don't want
darling.
her, I don't
Whatever
wanna
you
give her
say.
the opportunity to shit on me, which she truly deserves.
But that's funny. Like we were saying though, it's difficult when you move to a new area to try and figure it out, especially doing something like this. It's like there's so many people who are comedians.
Right.
Every city has a scene. Every city has a Facebook page. Every
Yeah.
city has a.
Well, here's what's funny about most scenes is, in a rare occurrence, you're the guy that shows up and everybody loves.
Yeah.
That's rare. That's like
Very
one guy
rare.
every 3 years.
Yeah.
In most cases, you show up and it's like, fuck the new guy.
Yeah.
And or we just don't know him, or we're just not interested in
Oh,
him.
yeah.
And then, like after a year, like they turn to you to go, fuck the new guy.
Yeah. Fuck this new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
That's
just,
exactly how
you just grandfather yourself in.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything special.
You're just there.
You're just there longer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really bizarre.
The human tribalism,
It's a weird
it's
thing.
just so strange. And we always are surprised by it because we don't step outside of our tribe that much.
Yeah.
But when we realize that we're trying to fit in with a new tribe, it's very strange.
Yeah.
If
and
you're just like
that's-
hanging out with, say you're hanging out with your friend's friends.
That's weird.
That's a weird thing.
Her friends.
Yeah,
Weird.
that's a weird thing.
Weird thing.
Because you say things that you know they're like completely in character with yourself. They can get a laugh with your friends.
Does that happen to you?
But of course it does. And it's worse for us because people know we're comedians.
Yeah.
So you go and say something funny and it's not funny. And people are like,
Or you cross a line thinking this isn't where the line is with my friends.
crossing the line. Yeah, crossing the line, I hate that. But to me, it's when I say something that they don't think is funny and they go, is this guy really a fucking comedian?
I'll show you my
Because
tax
I
return.
don't see it.
Has that?
After like 3 strikes.
Yeah.
After like 3 fucking.
He gets paid for this?
Yeah, like I don't think so.
No.
That's why they're always going, we'd love to come see you sometime. Like, we want to know how the fuck this works.
Yeah. That's interesting too, because there are so many people that I've met along my way that are the funniest guy at work.
Right.
Or the funniest guy in the break room, or the
We'll
funniest
never be
guy.
that funny.
No. And so this happened to me.
And it's not because they're funny.
It's
because they're fucking
inside joke. It's
mediocre,
in context.
actually.
Yeah.
They're like mainstream.
Yeah.
And usually doing jokes that are pre-approved by the people they're stealing them from. Yeah. Or it's just good inside jokes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, is that I've been on shows before where the comic goes up and does street jokes and the audience is like dying. And I'm like, these are internet jokes. Like, what is happening?
Right.
And then I go up and I do the jokes that I've written, that I've thought about, that I've like killed myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like just writing and rewriting and trying it and then working it out. And then like they get like mediocre chuckles. And I'm like,
yeah.
The last guy humped the stool.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, first of all, the audience isn't aware of the rules.
Yeah, that's true.
We are. Second of all, like that guy can only win like temporarily.
Yeah.
So you have to have that painful night.
Yeah.
Where you have to follow some guy who just bought his jokes.
And it's so funny when they come back. Like the next time they come back to the mic, not all their friends are there.
Yeah.
It's a room full of strangers.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get the inside jokes, or they've heard these street jokes.
And a lot of nights, those what do you call those street jokes?
Yeah.
They get groans.
Oh yeah,
baby. And then you can't even like riff.
That's
because all you know is your street jokes.
Yeah, that's the best time to be.
And now
there.
you're nervous, so you're forgetting your street jokes. They're like 3 seconds long, dude. Get your shit together.
You can't. I think it was you who said it, but I say it all the time to people now, where it's like they'll check their phone, and I go, "You can't memorize 5 minutes? You're supposed to be a goddamn professional."
Putting in your 6-digit code
to
check out your phone is like a huge chunk of 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's literally
a huge percentage,
like a tenth of your time. Yeah. And it's so funny to me when people do that. It's like we're not at an open mic like trying new stuff. Like, yeah, then I get it, but like. You were asked to do a 5-minute spot that you might get paid for, or you know what I mean? Like it's a spot on a show, and you're gonna stare at your phone the whole time.
Yeah,
like you're an asshole.
I've seen comics give other comic shit too at about like in Comedy Magic there's like in July it's 5-minute sets.
Yeah,
so there'll be 20 of us doing 5-minute sets.
God,
and like one time I forget who these guys were. I forget like which comics this was, but I remember the argument. The guy was going up on stage with a beer, and he goes, "You need a beer to do 5 minutes? Because you need to take that up there? Like, what chance do you think you have of taking a break to drink that beer?"
That's so true, though.
And Norm Macdonald, I heard, he turned right to me at the Comedy Store one time. He was about to go on. He was shitting on some guy drinking beer. Not really shitting on, just commenting on it.
Yeah.
There was a guy like, taking breaks to drink a beer. He's like, he's taking breaks to drink a beer. I'm gonna go up there and eat a full lobster dinner. You know, put the bib on, and a knife and fork. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy? It was just so nice to have, like you said, to have that
Norm Macdonald,
that personal show.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Tell me more, Norm."
Yeah, God, I miss him. He was so funny.
He was the best.
We Well, again, I am very happy you came on the show. I wanted to, I know a lot of times you and I, when we get together, we just riff about comedy because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
But we are obviously you're much more established than I am. You know, you've got the credits and you tour all over the world, and I'm just kind of starting out here in New York. So I kind of wanted to give the listeners, from what you can remember, like an inside look at when you first started out, like touring and stuff.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because you're probably the most established comedian I have on this show.
Yeah.
And probably not, again, you are the most established comedian as far as traveling and the people you tour with and everything like that. So to me, it's fascinating, this whole, like, this road dog lifestyle, or like, because when you were younger, you talk about it now where you don't really drink anymore and you kind of just smoke to go to sleep. But when you were younger, did you get after it? Like when you would go out on the road, and like, what was that like?
Yeah, I used to drink heavily. I just did, I was really just a weekend warrior until I was about 22.
Okay. And
And
how old were you
then
when you
I remember
started?
I didn't start drinking regularly until I was 18. Until I
Okay.
went to college.
Yeah.
But I did have a couple of drunken nights in high school, and I never wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
I never wanted, because to me, I really thought it would fuck up my brain. Like I really bought into the idea that it would erase parts of my brain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's even really true. I don't think it is. I've heard that it isn't true. That when they say it kills brain cells, it doesn't mean like you lose chunks of your brain.
No, yeah, exactly. It doesn't. Trust me. As a recovering alcoholic, I can tell you it doesn't.
Right, I know. And I've drank so much now that I know that I'm much smarter than I was before I started drinking.
Yeah.
So, but without even thinking about it, when I first started doing when I first got to so backtrack. I stayed in Baltimore one summer. I usually would go home for the summer.
Okay, when
and
you were
would
in
barely
college?
drink because I was underage and
You were home.
I just wasn't into going to bars. And so, like, every once in a while there'd be a party and I'd drink, but I would go months. I'd probably drink like 5 times in one summer.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't even be like counting because
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit back then. I wasn't like, I didn't have the.
When you were skateboarding stuff too back then, right?
Skateboarding, lifeguarding, just doing regular shit.
Yeah.
And I was playing music with my friends, and my friends didn't drink heavily. That has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And but then I spent one summer in Baltimore when I was 22, and I lived with a bunch of guys, and we would just like go to the bar every night that summer. So that's like when it started
Okay.
becoming more than just the weekends.
Yeah.
And then actually, ironically, when school started again, less drinking.
Okay.
It was kind of the reverse of before.
Yeah.
But that's all relative because I was drinking more now.
Yeah.
Then when I got to LA, I really drank a lot from the time I was 23 to the time I was 40.
Okay.
I just did.
So was that a product of the lifestyle of doing comedy and being out, or was that
no? Because when I first showed up to LA, I didn't even do comedy.
okay? Yeah, because
So-
we talked about that.
So it was just like meeting people, and Swingers had just come out, that movie Swingers, and we were all just wanted to go.
We're gonna be up
and,
500
see
by
all-
midnight,
yeah, we were gonna
baby.
be up 500 by midnight, and we would. Everybody I knew was just into drinking and going out to bars, and it was just like, yeah, I want to do it too, and I knew it was more than I should be doing,
Yeah.
but it also wasn't out of control because when you're showing up to work
Yeah. Nobody's.
and
you're
you don't
paying
have any
your
real
bills.
problems and you're 23 and you can bounce back, it's not that much of a problem. Looking back, I regret that. What I know about alcohol now, I regret that that I drank so much because I just think I made things so much more difficult on myself.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
And just the amount of depression I know it causes now. Like it can get you in a bad way in your head, and
Yep.
you don't know where it's coming from.
And
I wasn't
sometimes
in
you're like, I don't
therapy,
even know why.
And then you're drinking, like you realize, and I was aware of the cycle of alcohol abuse,
yeah.
but I still didn't think it applied to me that much. Where clearly looking back, it did.
You
you
drink
know.
because you're unhappy, and you're unhappy because you
But
drink, and
but a lot of more of it had to do with just trying to fit in and socialize, and I wanted to go to the bar, and I didn't want to sit there sober.
yeah,
I wanted to participate.
yeah, absolutely.
So it was actually about me wanting to be at the bar at that point. And
just
like
hang
you want to
out.
meet girls and you just want to have a good time.
yeah,
There was like that was like important to me back then. Now I don't give a shit if I have a good time. I really don't. I want to get my work done and
yeah,
no, actually, to be honest with you, I've been more open to because I've swung too hard in the other direction of taking life too seriously and trying to get things done all the time.
yeah,
That I've trying to find some middle ground, and that's what my life with my fiance is about. It's like let's enjoy ourselves because that's what this is about.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I've been getting into that more.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where I know for me personally, it's one of those things where if I'm so focused on like, no, got to do the next show, can't hang out, like can't, go out with friends, can't do this, can't do that, like this like got to get it done. The next thing you know, it's like, oh, I've been here for 2 months and I haven't done anything fun.
Yeah, you when you lose the joy, you lose the productivity. So it's we have so many ideas that work against our goals.
Yeah.
So you go work, and then if your work is creative, then what is that? What is your creative work about? It's about work all of a sudden.
Yeah. Then it doesn't.
It's like a feedback loop that doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
So, as hard as I've been working for like the past 10 years, I had such a hard time like coming up with new material that sticked until the pandemic forced me
to sit down
to avoid work. Not
Yeah.
sit down and work. It put me through some shit.
Okay.
And so I had something to write about. And so it was a year of not working that gave me actually, and it was tough material. This material is earned.
Yeah.
And it was tough to go through. But now I've got something. And it was at a time, I got this material at a time when I wasn't working. I was doing a good job writing it down every day.
Yeah.
I was putting that much work in.
Yeah.
And then also, you just have to have, like, I'm always worrying, how do I get back to that place where comedy was exciting to me?
Yeah.
Comedy was interesting to me. And it's from, you got to go not do comedy.
Well, and that's the
You
funny
gotta
thing
go
about it too.
experience shit.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Sometimes, a lot of times now, like if I'm going to work or going to the stand or like going out somewhere, I'll leave my headphones here. I'll like not take anything. I won't look at my phone. Like I'll turn my phone off, or I'll put my phone in my backpack, and I'll just go try to experience like New York.
Yeah.
And
I've been doing that lately too.
There's some really crazy shit that you'll see or hear or just like, wait, what just happened? And
Yeah.
it's really opened me up to like be able to write about that kind of
Yeah.
stuff more.
So that's like a much more efficient way to write.
Yeah.
You go walk around for an hour with your voice recorder.
I've been doing that now too, because
and
you were telling me
boom,
that.
And then just decipher those notes the next day.
Yeah, because before I was telling you I would walk and like go over new material, like just saying it out loud, thinking I would remember it.
Yeah.
And then I ran into this problem where I would remember the premise, but I couldn't remember the tags that I wrote.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you voice recorded it. And I was
Right,
like, oh
right,
yeah,
right,
duh.
right. Yeah.
And so that's actually been incredibly helpful too, because it's bizarre. We talked about this last episode that you were on, but how much is happening in the city where it frees your mind because you can't focus so much on what's happening in your head because you got to have your head on a swivel.
I'll explain how it was explained to me in an acting class, which I truly love and never have looked up to see if it's true or not. But I believe it's true, but it works nonetheless.
Yeah.
So the acting teacher told, he talked more about like driving your car. You know when you're driving a car and you like miss an exit or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just daydreaming about.
God knows what.
It's because when you're driving a car or when you're walking around New York City, the part of your brain that keeps you safe is occupied.
Yeah.
And with creative ideas, your brain is actually working against yourself a lot of the times where you'll go, oh, this would be funny. And then some other voice goes, that's not going to be funny. You can't do that. That's not going to work. Like there is a voice going, at the very least going, would that work? Can that work?
I don't think that could
Will it
work.
So that's the same part of your brain. It's just trying to keep you safe
Yeah.
from embarrassment on stage.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that part of your brain is occupied. And so your creative brain is free
Yeah.
to just think about the grandest shit. That's why if you're walking around daydreaming about being on stage doing a joke, which I don't know how material, but a lot of times if I'm like, think of a good joke, I immediately visualize myself telling it on stage.
Yeah, me too.
And you're just killing.
Oh, murder. Murder.
Whereas if I'm sitting at a desk, I'm not really killing. I'm actually coming up with savers before the joke even bombs.
Oh my God, I never even thought of it that way, because when I try to sit down, so I've got this whiteboard back here, and when I try to work out a bit for the first time on the whiteboard, like just in the house, it never works. Like I have to go out and either try it on stage or I have to like walk around and think about it.
Yeah.
And then once I do it one time and I record it, because I always record my sets, I'll record it and then I'll come back and then I can fiddle on the whiteboard.
Right.
But like you're saying, I've written material out just like like sitting around and writing it out, and I'm always thinking of ways to fix the joke before I even write the joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, why don't you just try it, asshole, and then see where it goes.
Right, because your savor is going to be authentic at that point.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, blah, like, blah. That's when the part of your brain that's trying to save you actually fucking works.
Yeah, it kicks
in your favor.
Yeah. There's so many times where I've done this as a defense mechanism. I'll pull the mic away.
Yeah.
And I'll say something, and like the first 2 rows laugh because they heard me, and nobody else laughs. And Savannah finally was like, keep the mic at your face, idiot. I was like, yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be funny or not. She goes, it always works. Like, why would you do that? And I was like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah. But in as far as drinking at shows, when I first started,
off the rails.
Again, looking back, like I wish I wasn't drinking as much because even at that young age, I started doing the road when I was 26.
Okay.
Just barely. I had like 3 road gigs.
Yeah.
I worked at a video duplication place, right? And I finally got a good set on tape.
Yeah.
And I got a discount. I got it all duplicated. I got like 50 VHS tapes made.
Hell yeah.
And I bought this book that had like comedy clubs and their addresses.
Okay.
And I sent out like 50 tapes, and 2 people got back to me.
There you go.
And I went out and did I went to Tucson, Arizona.
What club was there?
It was called Laughs Comedy Cafe, and then they had another club in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
Laughs Comedy Cafe. And the first couple nights,
Were these headlining gigs?
No, these were feature gigs.
Okay.
Like I was doing like a true half hour.
Yeah.
Which I'd only ever done 10 minutes at
a
time.
Do you have a true
and so
half hour?
I just sewed together
30
30 minutes of material.
Yeah.
And it worked like really well for the first couple nights. I was crushing. But I didn't know how to. And then like on Saturday night, I just wasn't getting the laughs. And I like freaked out. And I think I only did like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And got off stage, and it was a huge deal. And
yeah, because they're paying you for the time.
I don't think booze
material.
was helping me then either. Because now I know if I'm going to drink before I go on stage, it better be a very minimal amount of beer, and it better be right before I go on stage.
Yeah.
Because you got to catch the up swing. You cannot catch the down swing. And when you do it 2 shows, you can't get around that.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's true,
and I also didn't know to drink a little bit. I thought I was like, the more I drank, the funnier I was gonna be.
Like Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, like I just
Let's get fucked up.
I just thought it was gonna be better that way because think about the world I'm used to operating in, a world where I only do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No one's paying me. If I get off early, nobody cares because there's 15 people waiting.
Yeah,
to go
they're excited. They're like, all right, cool. You only did 7? Awesome.
So I could get like fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, but what you also don't know is alcohol can also make you clam up.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you get confused. And you also think that when you drink, you're not going to get nervous, but you can get nervous on top of being drunk.
Yeah, I've had that happen
before. And then you get that really dry mouth.
Yep.
It doesn't save you.
You start forgetting. You start blanking.
So it's almost like if you went up there completely sober and you were nervous, you'd be nervous for like the first 3 minutes or whatever. But then all that nervous energy would be out of you by like the 5-minute mark or the 7-minute mark or whatever. But with the booze, you just get kind of confused. I don't know. It's like nothing's working for you when you're drunk up there.
Yeah.
It's just not working. It only works when they were already going to like you anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Because that actually happened at the show I did Saturday.
Yeah.
There was one comic.
Sure.
He came in and he's like, yeah, this is like the second or third time I've ever done comedy. And I was like, that's when I texted you. I was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, but I'm like, I work around a lot of people. Like, I'm always talking to people, and I'm pretty funny. So I just been drinking all day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is
all day.
Yeah. He said he started drinking at noon, and the show was at 6. We started around 6:30. I was like, that. And you're in the back, like, bar area, so they'll serve you.
Right.
Like, if you're going to pay for it, they'll serve you.
Yeah.
So you just kept drinking. And I was like, this is not how this is going to go. Like, this is not going to go well. And he got off stage and he goes, yeah, I got some laughs, but they weren't where I thought they were gonna be.
You know, yeah, when they were laughing at you, motherfucker. And you also you don't realize that you're in your own world when you're drinking.
Yeah.
And so you're less, and what you don't realize is comedy is more of a conversation than you think it is. So like we're the only ones talking, but you have to like rock back and forth with their energy.
Yep.
And so if you're just doing a monologue, if you're too drunk sometimes, you're not connecting.
I didn't even think about it like that, but that's so true. Is that when any of us are on stage, it is a back and forth. Because I've done sets where I'm like nervous and I just bulldoze the entire set, and I'm like, oh, that set didn't go well. I don't know why. And it's like, oh, because I didn't even give them a chance to.
You got to dance with them a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even give them a chance to like ingest what I was saying. I just kept talking.
Yeah.
And then people aren't laughing, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I still do that sometimes.
Yeah, I get like in my head, and then I'll just. That almost happened to me on Saturday. I was like, I have to get through this 5 minutes. Instead of being like, oh, well, if I need to stop because people are laughing, then just stop.
Yeah.
But I was in my head like, no, I know this is a good 5 minutes. I want to get through the entire 5 minutes.
Right.
Especially because I end on a story that's 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't get halfway into the story and then get the light and then be like fucked.
Yeah.
I
No.
was like, I have to get through it.
Right. There's another thing I learned in this acting class, which was they call it set it and forget it. So if you're doing a show where the material counts,
Yeah.
like you were doing like a showcase where it's like a tight 5 minutes, then you rehearse the shit out of the 5 minutes, and then you go up there and you have to throw away the idea that you have to do the 5 minutes perfectly, or it even has to end at the end or anything like that. It's called set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So you already did all that homework.
Yeah.
It's there. And then you have to all of a sudden adapt the attitude of it's not about the material. You think it's about the material.
But it's not.
It's not about the material. It's about the personal experience
Yeah.
that you have with these people up here and your personality. It's about your personality.
And
it's about your conversation. And so the material is only a tool.
Yeah.
And so a mechanic, you
don't have to use every tool.
Yeah, and also like a good mechanic can do something with a pretty shitty wrench.
Yeah.
Whereas I can't do anything with a $1,000 wrench. 'Cause I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not so much about the tools. It's great to have nice tools. You got to have nice tools. We got to work on it. We got to get the good material. It's important.
Yeah.
But it's not the most important thing for the next 10 minutes when you go on stage. It's not.
And it's
when you're taping a Netflix special, the material is very important.
Yeah.
But as soon as you grab that mic and the cameras are rolling, that's not how you're thinking about it now. You're now thinking about it as I'm fucking letting go and flowing.
Yeah.
I'm flowing.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because hindsight, when I listened back to it, because I taped it, and so when I listened back to it, I honestly said to myself, I could have just written the laughs and then just not done the last story.
Yeah.
I could, because all the bits that I had are longer bits, but I cut everything out of it and just took the funniest parts from each bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I could have written the bits a little harder, because I do have more to each one of those bits. I could have just written those harder and just not done the last story.
Yeah.
And that's hindsight. Like now thinking about it, as I was like, oh, I could have just written that, because there were times where I literally stopped for a beat because everyone was laughing, and I was like, I got to keep I got to get this 5 minutes out.
Yeah.
And so I just talked over them while they were laughing, and it's like, what? Why would you do that?
Are you not used to 5 minute sets?
Well, no, because in
That's
Jacksonville,
usually had longer sets, right?
yeah, because
because it's not just about the fact that you're only doing 5 minutes. It's about that there's 15 guys on the show.
Yeah.
And it's very exhausting for the audience.
That's
so
the
they
thing
have
too.
to go, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And by the time they figure out the comic's getting off stage.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the next guy shows up and they're like, fuck
Who's
this
this?
next
Yeah.
guy. Like we were going with
We
that
were
guy.
with that other
He's
guy.
the first funny guy.
Yeah.
35 minutes in.
And that's another interesting thing is because I'm so obsessed with like, since I came into that idea of like transitioning from setup punch to storytelling,
Yeah.
I'm like been so obsessed with like, I can't do 5 minutes. 5 minutes is like 1.5 bits. Like I can't do, and it's like, well, you better fucking learn how to do
Yeah.
it. Like that's a requirement.
Sure. You're going to want a late night set.
Yeah,
sooner or later.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's in Jacksonville, because I was a part of the scene. It's like I'm doing 12 or 10 or 15 or 17. It's like,
Yeah.
we're not doing 5s.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing like an open mic.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like here, it's like, no, it's required. You need to have a tight 5.
Right.
If you want to get any kind of work,
Right.
every showcase is going to be a tight 5.
Right.
So figure it out, dummy.
Yeah. Don't go so hard on yourself.
And I just steamrolled. But I texted you after because obviously I look up to you as far as, comedy and, doing this kind of shit. So I texted you and I was like, man, I'm really hard on myself, but I think it went pretty well.
Yeah. So, no, you were just telling me that you were giving me an honest answer.
Yeah.
When you say you're being hard on yourself.
Yeah. Well, and that's,
And now you're being really hard on yourself.
yeah, right. Fucking idiot.
You're like the coach the next day in the locker room, pointing to the video.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You fuckers won by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah. I don't know how this happened. You lucky
You
sons
did
of
not
bitches.
deserve it.
But you, going back to when you started touring, you said you started with 3 dates.
Yeah, so the second date, so it was the same club booker. All right, so he was there the night I only did 20, which added to my nervousness.
Okay.
Probably. It's all clear to me looking back. But when it's happening to you and you're 26 and you've never done the road
Yeah.
and you're drinking.
Were you like super excited to go out and do it?
I was incredibly excited.
Because I think about that now. Like I hear you guys talk like the comics who've been doing it for a while and have traveled so much and everything where it's like, God, the airport, and I'm like, dude, I would love to be at the airport every weekend.
No, I'm back to like just enjoying just whatever. But you, I mean, it is easy to get jaded when you're doing it for a living and you're just only going to make your nut this month. You know, it's like breaking even. When you're doing it, you're breaking. You get lost in the it kind of ruins the fun in a way.
That's true. Where you're like, oh, I'm gonna make just enough to survive.
Right.
Like that's any job.
It gets
where you're doing that
gets,
is
and so
grueling.
and that's fine on a week where you like the club,
Oh,
but when you're
God.
going to do something that you don't want to do,
or they don't pay you, or they fuck you over, or something like that.
yeah. And so if you were making like I don't know, $10,000 to go do like a bowling alley show, you'd be in a great fucking mood.
Yeah.
You'd be laughing about this show sucks. You wouldn't give a fuck.
I'm rich.
Right, but when you're just like, and especially when you're behind on your bills,
Yeah.
and you're working just to continue to be broke, is just really can make it kind of bitter, But I still had a job,
Yeah.
and I was so excited about being a comedian that these shows. But I also thought I was like exceptionally good. I thought I was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I was devastated that I didn't
That's what I'm going.
have such a good. I was devastated that I basically failed for the week. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
But looking back, no, I didn't fail for the week. I failed on like a show or two.
Yeah.
I actually fucking succeeded very well. This was a Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh my God.
And I only fucked up 2 shows.
Yeah, and you're doing 2
So
shows
looking
Friday,
back,
2 shows Saturday.
I give myself a lot of love for that.
Yeah.
I mean, a half an hour is no joke.
No. Well, and especially doing it like in rapid success, like
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and so I remember I stopped by my my girlfriend at the time's place in San Diego on the way home to LA, and I was just like, I fucked up. I thought my career was over in this
Yeah.
weird sort of way. Like that's what I was
First
telling.
weekend out, and you
That's
thought
what
it
I
was
was
done.
telling myself.
Yeah.
Like, because clearly I should be doing better than this, and but I've seen so many features do so much worse now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So much worse than my worst set.
Where it's just silence for like 28 minutes.
I got something out of them.
Yeah.
And I had the instincts to get off stage, even though that wasn't the right thing to do.
But still.
It was the right thing to do for the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was devastated. The booker was there, and he's like, you know what? Why don't you MC instead of feature in Albuquerque? And it didn't have the same blow to me that you're giving it right now. Like,
Yeah.
Ooh, like because you got to know this is before like comedy was on the internet.
Oh yeah.
And so I was still a rookie, and I didn't know that. Obviously, I knew it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, I didn't know, MCs versus featuring, the hierarchy of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Obviously, I knew one was better than the other.
But you didn't.
But it didn't offend me.
Yeah.
And it was actually like a relief. I didn't get fired.
You just got repurposed.
And then that week, the shows were like tons of fun. And I'm glad I got demoted because that was a tough room.
Yeah.
And people were like smoking. Like,
really?
And they looked like shit. Like I had been in LA for so long.
Shouts out Albuquerque.
No offense, Albuquerque, but
they know.
You know.
They know.
There's a reason they feel Breaking Bad there. But that was more fun because I lived with the headliner that week, and it was another long week.
Yeah.
I think it might have been even like Tuesday through Sunday.
God.
But it was cool with me because like,
what are you doing? 7 up top?
I was doing probably 15 up top.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But 15, no problem.
I could.
You know, and they liked me there, and the bartender liked me, and I even heard that the manager was a dick, but he called me in on the last day, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And he's like, people are saying you're doing really good this week. Like,
hell
have you
yeah.
back. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Hell yeah.
You know, and I mean, I was only making like $200 for like for like 5-6 days of work.
Yeah.
7 shows, 8 shows, whatever. But I didn't care because I didn't know. And that really was an okay amount of money back then, believe it or not.
Yeah.
My rent was only $350 back then.
Oh, so 2 weekends.
200. Well, yeah, it was 600, and I think I was even on like paid vacation.
Yeah.
So I was doing all right. It was actually a good.
Oh yeah, because you still had the job.
Mm-hmm. So, but I was drinking there. I remember one night they gave me somebody ordered me a mind eraser, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah.
And the bartender actually like cut me off in a loving way after that.
Oh really?
I think, or he just gave me like diluted drinks or something like that. But like. He only told me the next day. I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But I was really fucked up. But anyways, I learned a very important lesson that so these guys came up to me afterwards and were like, dude, you're so funny, blah, blah, blah. We're going to this bar. You want to come with us? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, no.
Because I was all about the party.
Yeah, this goes against everything
really
you've taught
was.
me now.
Yeah, no, this is how I learned. I learned the hard way. So you fuckers out there don't have to. So I actually got in a car and went someplace.
Oh God!
And it's like the end of The Graduate when you go hang out with people after a show.
Yeah.
Like it's all of a sudden you find out like, oh, we have nothing in common. You think you're funny. You also thought I was funny, but we don't have anything to talk about.
And now you're just steamrolling
I'm
me
just
trying to get your bits out.
I'm just there with 4 people who know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm at a bar and I'm there for hours because this is before Uber and I wouldn't even know how to get home anyway.
Yeah.
And I remember like we're finally going home and I'm in the car and I think there was some commotion going on with the guys I was with.
Uh-oh.
And then like one guy in the car next to me goes, damn man, I hope they get out here soon. He goes, I don't want to go back to jail. And I was like, oh
my God,
what is going on? Like, what's going on? I made it home safe and sound. And the headliner was at the condo and he was like, where were you, young man? You know, like get proud of me for like going out and getting fucked up. And he goes, I got fucked up too. He goes, you know what though? I stayed at the bar because once I leave the comedy club, he goes, I'm nobody out there.
Oh,
and I was like, dude, I wish I stayed with him.
Yeah.
Because he's absolutely right. And who knows what could have happened to me? Just who knows if like the guys were drinking and driving? They probably were.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I'm just first of all, you just never get in a car.
Well, what else is in the car? They get pulled over. All of a sudden, it's
and where are they taking you?
Yeah.
You don't know. They could have all kinds. They might think I'm some big Hollywood star.
Yeah,
try to shake me down, which I did have a lot of credit on my credit cards back then, but
God,
that's all they would have gotten. So it was all kinds of stupid.
Yeah,
and I even knew it was dumb because I remember my girlfriend was like, "Well, you're not getting in cars to go with people." I'm like, "No,
no."
Fuck, I was. That was so dumb.
God, there's something about getting like lost or like not having a way out as an adult. Even at 26, you're still an adult. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and think about the opportunity I missed. I could have hung out with the headliner.
Yeah, and just talk shop and
shit.
Hung out.
Could have still got wasted if I wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
And because it was Saturday night, so the week was pretty much over.
Oh
you know?
yeah,
and so like that's why the headliner was partying. He didn't party the whole week.
Well, and it's one of those things too where don't remember who said it. I know it's not my original idea, but you have like 100 yards from the stage where that's like, for lack of a better term, like that's your house.
Right.
Like this is where you live. This is what you're doing. But once you get out of that little window, it's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And I noticed that after the show on Saturday is I left the comedy club. I was smoking a cigarette. And as I walked down the street, like a few people would stop me and be like, God, that was so funny.
Yeah.
And that's the first time in a long time that's happened. Like strangers.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I know the people at the shows. Because in Florida, it's the same, 20 people that come to shows. But it was just strangers. Like, hey, and the further I got away from the club as I was walking to the subway.
The more anonymous you got.
Yeah, the more. And then all of a sudden, I literally crossed the street at the end of the block, and I was back to being nobody.
You're regular old Brennan again.
Yeah, and I was like, I kind of want to go back and just hang out outside.
Right.
And have people tell me how funny it was.
And I just remember not knowing how to spend my days back then.
Yeah.
Because I'd always had a job. And, like, I don't think I worked on any material or anything like that.
Just slept all day?
I don't know what the fuck I did. I remember just, like, that's, like, it's very unlike me.
Yeah.
But.
Because you're very productive.
I always have been.
Yeah.
But it was a weird scenario where I didn't know how to work on my comedy yet. I just didn't, which sounds crazy, but I just didn't know how to work on it in a constructive way. And it was all just random ideas that eventually became part of my act, And then I was also away from home.
They are random.
So I didn't know what to I didn't know what to do. And I just remember being like, this road is not all it's cracked up to be. I immediately figured that out.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn my lesson. Like, I really wanted to. But I also sent out 50 tapes and only 2 people got back to me. So I kind of was like not trying to go on the road for a while.
Yeah.
After that, I didn't bother sending out more tapes.
Oh, okay. So you did the 3 gigs.
I got my job. The first week was fucking traumatic.
Yeah.
It was devastating to me at the time. And then the second week was good, but it was also kind of boring.
Yeah.
And
what was the third week?
The third week was I got into the Seattle comedy competition.
Okay.
Which is you go up to, Seattle, and there's a bunch of different. The first week they don't pay you.
Okay. Is it like a festival kind of thing?
It's kind of like a festival.
Okay.
It's like a traveling festival around the Seattle area, and that I only bring up because it was the first. I was hanging out with other comics who were like features and they just were more established in a way than even the headliners. No offense, guys. I doubt they're listening to this, but they were even more established in a way than the headliners I'd worked with.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? And I didn't know a lot of road comics in LA. I did, but we didn't talk about the road. No one's like the road is just so dead back then. Like it just wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it.
Well, and if you're in LA talking to LA comics, you're going to talk about what's happening
I was talking more to open micers back then.
But yeah.
So, but there was the first time I heard comics like have animosity for the audience.
Oh, really?
Like behind their backs.
Yeah.
Like that was news to me because I thought
that's all it is.
Part of the devastation of the first week where I didn't connect with the audience, I just thought it was all supposed to be such a good time.
Yeah.
And I loved the audience, and the audience loved me, and all the comics loved doing it.
God, that's such a sweet way to look at it.
Everyone just like loves it.
Yeah.
And it's just the best business to be in.
That's how I still think of it sometimes.
And then these 2 comics who, they weren't even in the game that long, but they were professionals.
Yeah.
And they took a liking to me, so I was hanging around them. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, look at this fucking... like, they'd be tearing the audience apart before they even got stage. And they'd have things to be like, oh, birthday party. And like, all this shit I never even...
Bachelorette
like, all this shit I
party.
never thought about.
Yeah.
Ever. And then they just had so much animosity. And then one comic was telling me, like, yeah, if they don't like me after 7 minutes, I just give them the punishment comedy. And I'm like, what's that? I just want to do jokes that only I like and I know they're going to hate.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, this is like all just
I've done
trash.
that before.
Everyone's done it. But it was new to me.
Where somebody
Because,
groans
like,
and you go, you groaned at that?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about my friend killing herself now.
Right. So you think about the open mics where you're only doing 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If someone groans, like it's almost over.
Yeah, it's done anyway.
So your feelings are hurt, but it's not this. You're not trying to dominate the whole fucking room. Or like if you're gonna do an hour in front of a room and after 8 minutes they're groaning and stuff, you're like, I need to handle this fucking situation.
Yeah, you gotta get them back.
So I had none of those skills and I had none of those intentions.
Yeah, you never even thought of it at that point. This is your third kind of weekend out on the road.
I'm finally getting back to like just having a good time
Yeah.
with the audience. And like I was telling you earlier, like not worrying about the material, worrying about staying loose and being like an open channel for the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Because I got too jaded for a while. And I could still have good sets, but my patience was fucking thin.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work to be a disciplinarian of the audience.
God, that's so funny. That
You can do it, but it's such a gamble to manhandle the audience.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work after that, you got nothing.
Yeah. Well, and
that's why I was so fucked up. I did it on my half-hour special. Like I manhandled the audience. Like they didn't laugh that much for the first couple minutes, and I go, and the lights are on because they're taping, and I go, I see a lot of unhappy faces in the audience tonight. Well, I don't give a fuck because I'm still taping my special. I don't need you people. Like I actually did that.
Yeah, they did. They cut that out.
Of course. I wanted them to keep it in. Because how much would you love that comic?
Dude, that would be awesome.
How much would you love that comic?
I would love that.
I would be fucking famous right now.
Yeah.
I didn't even think left that in.
That was the whole thing that happened with Dane, where they told him not to take, like, you have to do it this certain way, and then he ripped his shirt off. He was like, fuck you.
I did all this shit that was off script. And
I can't believe they didn't keep it.
So funny. You could see the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like
you can see it change when you watch it.
I have totally... By the end of that special, I have total control over that.
Yeah.
And they know exactly what I do, and they're with me.
Yeah.
And I was doing all this crazy shit, man. Like I totally decided while I was up there that I was just gonna be a madman.
Yeah.
And I was gonna do all this shit in between the jokes, because I know that's how Daniel Tosh tapes his specials too. Maybe not. I mean, I didn't do exactly the same thing as he does, but he between jokes will talk to like the director, let's say.
Oh, okay.
Just as an example, I don't know. I can't remember if he actually did this. But he'll talk to people and be like, "Yeah, can we cut that out or whatever?" Like, like the
breaking
fourth
the
wall
fourth
is
wall.
broken.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did because I had been working with him so much, and it worked, man. And
well, you can see the end because I have it. I have that special, and I was just watching it a couple months ago, and you can see the energy change in the room.
Yeah, I know because I told them I didn't need them.
Yeah.
They thought I needed them.
That's so crazy.
I don't need them.
Because they don't, obviously that's not in the special. They cut it out.
But
it's interesting to watch it as someone who does comedy, like, and to watch it, you, like, there's a point where as I'm watching it, I go, something's different. Like, something happened.
Yeah, they got bitched out.
Yeah. I don't fucking need you. This is my special. That's my name back there.
I mean, I was right.
Yeah,
like, we'll
100%.
add laughter. We're taping this shit. You're just fucking here because mannequins look weird.
Yeah. And don't they tape like 4 or 5 specials at a time?
Yeah, they tape. And the first guy came up to me that taped with me the same night. I saw him a year later. He just walked up to me. He's like, that audience sucked. Even though he did really well. He went up before me.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch his whole set. But I thought he did really well. But he hated the audience. And so I was not wrong to do that.
Yeah.
I wish I had editing control.
I was going to say, they have control over that entire thing in perpetuity, don't they?
They do, and they just didn't want to deal with, okay, how do we...
Spin it?
Not spin it. There's nothing to spin.
Yeah.
The shit was funny, but they didn't know, like, can we put a special out like this?
Yeah.
Because it's not a one-off. There's like 15 specials came out.
Yeah.
And it's just easier because they had the script. So...
Do you have
they
to give
word
them
for word because it's all got to get cleared for TV.
Oh, yeah.
So they just reconstructed the script.
Oh, that's fucked.
Because it's the simplest thing to do.
Yeah.
Then they had to figure out what do we cut, what don't we cut. Well, we cut the stuff that's not in the script. So it's a real shame.
Damn. That could
and that I did not get the full footage from that. I never was able to get it. And
Comedy Central has it?
It'd be pretty hard to find right now.
Yeah, now.
But
God, man, that's crazy to think if they would have just left it in, how that could have altered everything.
Could have. I mean, we don't know for sure.
Yeah, but
that was the special I wanted
hell
to put.
Yeah.
But the upside is, I still saved that fucking special. Like, and I saved myself
from
clamming up. But trust me when I tell you, when the words were coming out of my mouth, I was actually going, what the fuck are you doing right now? I really said that to myself.
That's the best. You're doing something that's like a dream for so many people who do comedy, and you're fucking scolding the audience.
Dude, I
Fuck you, mannequins look weird.
Yeah. And I was getting in fights with this one lady.
That's gonna be the name
with
of this
my eyes.
episode. Mannequins look weird.
Yeah, I know. But it's just like cookie cutter. Yeah, like fuck you. No, that's like that. I tell people that like it's good. Like stay loose with the audience and everything. But you're filming a fucking TV show.
Especially in that
You're
scenario.
filming a TV show. You ain't doing a comedy show. You're filming a TV show.
God, that's awesome. So Seattle was the first time you ever even saw that kind of disdain.
Yeah, but they didn't do it on stage. It was the first time I caught the gist of, because I was coming from the open mic world.
Yeah.
Where everyone was just like, I can't wait to get in front of a real audience.
Yeah.
I can't wait until I'm doing this. I can't wait. Like,
that's that's where I'm at.
It's like, I have a connection with the audience.
Yeah.
They're my people. And then these people were young.
Yeah.
They were young. They were like maybe 30. And they were over it.
Not
over it, but just
jaded.
They acknowledged what they didn't like about it.
Yeah.
And they were relieved to talk to each other about it.
God.
And it was surprising.
That's insane. Man. This was fun.
Yeah, man. And so, honestly, like, I know this isn't a moral of the story podcast, but I will tell the audience, like, fucking cut back on the booze and face reality, because reality is important.
Yeah. No, it is.
I'm not saying don't drink. Different things work for different people, but don't drink a lot.
Yeah, don't avoid.
Don't just like, there's a lot you're going to have to take in that you're going to miss if your senses are diluted. I can see it's weird because it can relax you, but you don't want to be that relaxed. You don't want to be drunk.
And then fucking up.
Yeah, you're going to be fucking up, and you're going to
be
missing your cues, and there's nothing worse than when you realize you're the fucking guy who's not connecting, even just like with the other comics or the other people at the bar.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, because you can't it's a tailspin.
You're so drunk that you're just
you're like, when you know you're fucking up, but you're like, I'm too drunk to fucking change it.
Yeah.
You just got to leave. It's a nightmare.
If I had a nickel
You've impaired
every
yourself.
time that's happened.
Yeah, it sucks.
When you're at the bar and you're just like, oh, I keep talking, but this isn't getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse. I'm just making this worse and worse and worse.
But I'm trying so hard to make it better.
Pull myself out of it.
You're so sincerely trying.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To reestablish a connection with everybody, but you're just an idiot.
And now that I'm sober, it's funny when people come up, and I'm sure this happens to you, where people will come up after a show or something, and in my case, it's at work, because I work in the service industry, so people will just start talking, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, man, all right. And you can't really walk away because you're like,
there's no breaks in the conversation. And
it's just kind of like, all right. And they just keep going. And you're like, yeah, man, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, God, I've been that person so many times.
Yeah.
No, listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
No, you don't get what I'm saying.
You're not listening. It's like, yeah, man, I'm listening.
I've already agreed to that 5 times.
Yeah.
I've already agreed with you.
Oh, man. Well, I do appreciate you doing it. We're at the hour mark, so we'll head out.
Yeah, let's go get some pizza, man.
Fuck yeah. Do you want to plug anything?
No.
No?
Actually, check out my podcast. I'm not really doing it that much anymore, but there's between that and Roadheads, there's about 500 episodes online right now, so that'll...
that's Fullcharge Power Hour.
Fullcharge Power Hour, Roadheads, and that's all I have to offer at the moment. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We'll do all the intros and
My
everything
pleasure,
in post.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/Brennan Tassif, at Brennan T Comedy. Make sure you check out Matt at The Fullcharge everywhere.
Yeah, on all the social media
all
stuff.
That dumb shit.
All that shit I never check. I will not respond to you. I actually might. I respond to every so often.
Thank you, everybody.
But you probably will be muted. Yeah.
We'll talk to you all next week.
Follow me. Yeah. I need the numbers.
That's all I care about are the numbers.
I just want that number.
Oh, man.